Hi guys, today I'd like to show you some basic workflow using the new Framer app, and it's quite exciting because they've added this design view, and now you can seamlessly switch between design and code. So you can design something straight in Framer and then code in CoffeeScript your animations and micro interactions, and you'll be using it a lot because it's not that much sophisticated as Sketch or Adobe Experience Design, but the tools are similar and you can easily import graphics and do simple stuff here so that you can create those beautiful animations and micro interactions in code later. So let me show you some workflow with this design view. So let's say we want to add an artboard. We can use this tool or we can just press A and there you go. You have all the shortcuts that works in Sketch or any other graphic application. So let's select an iPhone 7. Of course, you can change it later. So you have the size here and properties of your artboard. Now let's change the name to say home. And let's draw some shapes. So I'm going to use R for rectangle, and as you see, we can easily draw any shape. Let me add some shapes here as well. So I'm going to draw 3 rectangles. I'm going to hold Shift to hold proportions, and I'm going to Alt drag to create 3 rectangles. Now let's change colors, and you can change color over there, but you can also do like in Sketch and press Ctrl C. Now you have this little sampler, and you can sample any color even from outside Framer window. So I can press Ctrl C again and sample color and Ctrl C again, and those are 3 colors that we're going to use throughout our simple layout. Now let's select this background rectangle. Let's give it a name of BG, and now change the fill color. Ctrl C again, and let's change it to this one. Now let's import some graphics, and you can easily drag and drop PNG files or SVG files inside Framer's design view. And there you have it. Now this logo is inside of the BG layer, so you can take it outside, but you can also keep it inside. And if you wish to select any layers that is inside any other layer, you just need to press and hold Command on your keyboard and then just click it. Okay, so let's now add some text. So T on the keyboard. Now I paste some text. I'm going to change this to Maven Pro, and I'm going to use medium and 35 pixel size. I'm going to center the text, and I also have one more text layer that I'm just going to copy and paste inside this document. Let's put it there. Okay, now I'm going to draw a rectangle. So let's use R again and draw a simple button here. This button will be filled with 100% white color. So let's select white, and I'm going to do rounded corners. I can do rounded corners by just clicking and dragging on that little circle icon, or you can change the radius here or separately. Okay, so that's easy. Now I'm going to copy this layer with Alt. I'm going to put it inside of this rectangle, and this will be my button. And let's say we're going to say get started. Now let's change the font to 16, and maybe let's say I want it bold. Okay. Now I need my text to be directly in the center of the button, so I can do it like so. Centered. I can shift click on that and ensure that this is centered as well. So we have the simple button and our first screen. So let's create another screen with Command D. I just duplicated it, and I want to get rid of all the things that I have here. Instead of that, I'm going to draw a top bar and just Ctrl C, select this yellow color. Okay, now let's add some icons here, and you can have icons in separate files, but you can also have icons from Framer, and you have this icon button over there, and you can search for icons such as menu icon and just click it once to add it to your artboard. You can always go back and search, for example, for close icon, and you can also drag and drop it wherever you wish. Okay, great. Now let's press Command plus to zoom in, and with the space bar you can change the position while you're zooming. Okay, now select both of these icons, and you can press Command and Shift to select another one. And now let's change the size to 36 by 36 pixels. And let's align those icons. I want this one there, and I'm going to align it here as well. Now let's decrease the opacity of the X icon. I don't need it for now. And I'm going to Command minus zoom out to see my artboard. Okay, and I'm going to place here my small logo. I've got this small logo, and I want it to go in the center of this component. So I have everything in this top bar component, okay? And now what happens when you scale this entire artboard, take a look that all of these things scale seamlessly to different resolutions, to different screens. That's because everything you create in design mode in Framer is responsive by default. So that if you select this little guy, you can see that it's pinned to the left, and you can see the simulation here. So yeah, it's pinned to the left, and this one is directly in the center because I've centered it. And this shape, because it's close to the edges, the left, top and right edge, it's pinned to those edges. So it works great. So you can obviously change it, you can unpin it from any side, but it just works out of the box. Okay, let's add some more content. I'm gonna click on home, so I'm gonna select this artboard, and this trick you probably know from Sketch. If you go to any field that you have here, any input field, you can do mathematical operations such as adding, subtracting, dividing. You can also multiply, and let's multiply the height by 2. There you have it. Let's command minus, zoom out. And now I'm going to use this list PNG file that I created earlier. I'm not going to waste your time for doing this over and over. And let's put it there, and let's change the position of the top bar so that this list is hidden. Okay, one more asset here. I've got this footer.png, and I'm going to place it right in the bottom. And if you place it in the bottom, you can see that it's now pinned to the bottom left and right. So if you select an artboard, you can now scale it, and it scales very well. So let me do it like this, and I'm going to create another screen. So Command D, duplicate it again, and let's get rid of all of this stuff. I'm going to make this one narrower, and I'm going to fill this with a color. So let's pick a color, and I'm going to pick this dark blue color. Now let's take the avatar from here. I have 2 avatars. I can use this one. This will be the menu that slides from left side while you press on this menu icon. I need from there, I need this close icon. I can cut it from there, Command X, and I can put it in here, and I need to raise the opacity, and I also need to change the fill color, okay? So now let's put it there, and I also need some text in my menu, so I'm gonna just copy and paste the text that I already have here. And this text is quite simple, but what I did here, I changed the line height. So you can do that in Framer easily. So you can do 2.3, for example, okay? You can also change the spacing between the letters, but we're gonna stay with this version, and I'm gonna duplicate this screen again. Let's get rid of the useless stuff, and let's bring back the size to the iPhone size, so 667. And I need to use these mockups, and in Framer you can draw any shape, and you can turn this shape into a clipping mask. If you say import an image here, and you have to put the image inside of this rectangle, inside of this shape, now you can turn this rectangle to be a clipping mask by just pressing here, and there you have it. You have this clipping mask for the image. But I'm not going to do it like this. I'm going to import all of these images. I make sure that they are all selected and position them in the center. And now I want to place them in one row. So I'm going to divide the width by 3. And now I can set the images so that they are next to each other, okay? Like so. Now let's put them in there. Command plus to zoom in, space bar, and now the screen is almost finished. I'm going to paste some text that I've created, and I'm going to use the same button, but just use a different color. So I'm going to select button, place it over there, just put it below, and I just need to change the fill color to some, maybe this blue color will do, okay? And now let's change the text color as well. I'm going to use white color for the text. And okay, this is it, my simple mockup. Now I can start to code this mockup so that it will transition between the pages. Let me go full screen with Framer, and if you are in full screen mode, you can switch between code and design by pressing Command 1 and Command 2. So if you go to code, you now cannot access any of this. If you say home, no, there's no home here. So you have to go back to design view, and let's name those artboards so that the name makes sense. And this will be home, this will be list, Now this guy is detail view, and here we have our menu. Now if you want to use these guys in code, you have to make layers out of them, and you have to simply click this little icon to create a target. So let's create targets out of all our artboards, and now let's Command 2, let's switch to code view, and as you can see, those layers here are highlighted now, and when you start typing menu, you can access them at any time. So you can access menu and say, I don't know why, or something like that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use flow component in Framer to make transitions between pages. So let's give it a name flow, and let's create a new flow component. Now let's go to this first screen with flow. So flow, I'm gonna use show next method and use home screen here. So it's like saying to Framer, hey, let's start with this home screen, okay? And there we have it. We can press Command-Shift-D to see the iPhone frame. We have iPhone 7 preview here. And now let's switch back to the design view, Command-1. I need this header and footer because flow component lets me create headers and footers that are fixed, and it works beautifully, but I need to connect them to code. So I need to press this small dot to create target, both on the top bar and on footer. So let's do it like so. And top bar, we have this little sign here, and let's change it to this one because otherwise it's minus. So let's go Command 2 to the code, and let's go to flow. We want the header to be our top bar, and also we want flow component footer to be our footer layer. And as you see, those headers and footers, they appear on every page. So now on this first page, we actually need to hide this. So let's use flow header and flow footer, and let's use visible here and set it to false so that I can hide it, and let's hide footer for now. Okay, now we can use this button to forward to our first screen. So we need this button to appear in the code. So let's select the button, let's click this little guy, and let's go back to the code. Now we have this button that we can access, so this is a layer, and on tab event we're going to create function, and this function is going to go to our flow component, and there is a method on this object that we can call, and it's called show next. And as a parameter to this method, we can pass the name of the screen we want to go to. So let's put list over there, and if I click get started, I go to the list screen. The problem is I don't have a header or the footer. That's because they are hidden, and we need to unhide it. So let's make visible state of header and footer to true. And now we have our header and footer here. And as a bonus, you get scrollable list. As you see, it scrolls, it bumps, it animates, and that's because when you put something that's bigger than the screen in the flow component, it will scroll. So it's pretty cool. So let's get back to this design view, and you have this menu button over there. Let's link it to the code. So let's select it and press this little icon. Let's go to the code view again. Let's use this menu button on top, and we want to show the menu. So flow. Then we're gonna do a show overlay. We can do show overlay top, left, right, or bottom. We want this menu to come from the left side. So we do show overlay left, and as a parameter we pass again the name of our screen. We need menu to show, and let's get started. Let's click on this icon, and menu shows. We still need to deal with this X icon, but as you see, this area outside our menu is now grayed out, and if I click on that, the menu will hide. And again, this is a feature of flow component, and it's really cool. Okay, so let's go back to design view. Let's select this X close button. Let's say close button. Let's link it to the code, Command 2, and we need to close button on tab, and we just need to close our menu. Okay, so we'll just use flow. Now we want this menu to be visible on many pages on our application. So we don't want to use specific name of the screen. We just want to use show previous. We won't use any parameters here. And thanks to this, if we go to a menu from any page of our application and we close it, we're gonna land on this very page we initiated the menu. Okay, let's jump to design view again, and let's use this list. I'm going to change the name to list button. I need to press this dot to use it in code, and I need list button after a click on tab to go to our next screen, and I'm going to just use this flow show next, and this will be the detail view. So now our app works. If I get started, I can do it like so, and I can use the menu, and if I click on the list, I go to this detail view. In the detail view, I need to hide the footer. I don't need it, so let's flow footer, make it invisible. Now I have all of the page transitions, so I can select the code and just fold it. I can go to a design view, and now let's focus on this detail page. I want to make animations, and the animation will look like this. I'm going to duplicate this detail page, and I'm going to select one of the screens, and I need to make it bigger, okay, like this. Let's put it on top, and I want this to be so much bigger, okay? And I also want to add some element here. I want to draw a rectangle, and I want to have this caption element that will have a feel of our dark blue color, okay? And maybe opacity of 90%. And I'm going to use this text here and just copy and paste it over there. And I'm going to use white color for the text. And for now, I just want this to animate to this full screen view of the image. So let's give this mockups link to code. So we have, maybe let's do, this will be M3, this will be, sorry, this will be M1, this will be M2, okay, and this will be M3. That's fine. And let's go to code. Now, if I want to test this, I'd have to click through all of the pages to get there. So I know that you love these animations. I love them too, but yeah, let's unfold this code. And for now, let's switch to this detail view, okay? And all right, now we can access all of our mockups, so M1, M2, M3. And let's do this for the first mockup. I can create something that's called states, and I can create an active state which will zoom our photo. So I'm gonna name the state show, and the options will be just frame, and I'm gonna make the frame bigger, and I want this to be equal to a screen size, so a screen frame, okay? And yeah, that's one state that I have, and I think that's enough. So if I now M1 and on tab, let's do the function here, and let's create this. So I want this photo to state cycle. Okay, let's see if that works. And as you see, it works. So the state cycles. Why it cycles? It's just one state, but initially there's a default state as well. And default state holds this position and size. So if I say state cycle, it can go to show and then default, show, default, show, default. And I can obviously go with this and say, for example, this, bring to front, okay, so that it's on top. And now it looks quite nice. Okay, by the way, you can also use add sign here instead of this. If you say add state cycle, bring to front, it just works. Okay, we need some better animation here. So let's go to animation options, and we can do animation options here while defining a state. So let me do options, and let's go with curve, and we're gonna do a spring curve. And let's see. Okay, it looks so much better now, right? All right, so now we're gonna just comment this code out, because we can copy this code and reuse it for all of the items, but I'm gonna show you a better way, okay? Maybe a bit more difficult, but I think you'll get it, just maybe, okay? So let's do an array that I'm gonna call images, okay? And in this array, I'm gonna put all of my mockups, M1, M2, and M3. Now I'm gonna do for in loop, and I'm gonna use I to count from 0 to 2. So I have 0, 1, and 2. So I can iterate through these items, and I'm gonna do images from I. So all my images, I need to define states for them. So all the images will get states, and the state will be this state show. Okay, so I can copy the code, I can uncomment it, and just make a good indentation here. Okay, so I defined all of these images states. Now in the same for in loop, I can say images, and each image can have this on top function, and inside I'm gonna this state cycle. And we also need this bring to front. So let's copy this code and let's paste it here. And let's check if that works. Let's click on the first one, the second one, and the third one. And it works like a charm. So we have this 7-8 line of codes, and here we have the same amount. So, but there we have only one animation, and here we have 3. So now let me switch to the design view. I need to select this rectangle, and I want to copy it to our detail page, because this is only some helpful image, okay? But we need it there, and let's put it over there. Let's change the name to info box, and let's make the connection to the code. And right now, as you see, the position of this element is 446Y. What I can do, I can remember the position 446, and I can press Shift and down arrow to hide it. Okay, so that we can start from this position, so 676. And by the way, we don't need this header, this top bar here. So let me delete it, and in code, I just want to show for now our top bar. So top bar visible, yes or true. Okay. Now let me create a state for this item, for this info box. So I'm gonna do it there and go info box. Now states. I'm gonna declare a state of show, and I'm gonna go to this Y446 position. Okay, and let me run it somewhere there. So we're gonna use info box and just state cycle. Okay, let's see. Okay, it works, but it's underneath this. So we need to info box, bring to front as well. Let's see. Okay, now it works really cool. Okay, so we need to adjust some animation options. Maybe let's set options to this spring animation curve, and also let's use some delay. So we're gonna wait until this image is full screen, and we're gonna then show our info box. So okay, there you have it. So it works as expected. Okay, let's clean this code. I'm gonna delete that. I'm gonna fold this part, and I'm gonna create another animation. This animation will be all about this get started button, and I'm gonna go to this button. As you see, this is simple button. We can call it get started button, and maybe move it to the bottom like so. And I need some graphics here. You can use the icons from Framer, but I have icons here, and I'm gonna just put it inside Framer and go full screen again. And let's give them proper names. This will be S1, and we're gonna use S2, S3, S4, S5, 6, 7, and S8. And I need all of these icons to be usable in code. So I'm going to click this, and that one as well. And also my get started button as well. I'm going to put it on top of the icons so that all the icons are inside, and I'd like to center them in the button. And now we're going to change the position of this graphic so that we can emulate the state when user hovers over our button. So first, let's select this S1, and let's check the position. It's 183575. So we need to remember that. I'll tell you later why. And let's just put it somewhere, I don't know, maybe there. I'm using cursors on my keyboard. Also, I'm pressing Shift so that I can move it with 10 pixel space. And let's put it over there maybe. And this S4 we're gonna put somewhere there. Okay, we got S5, and this will be here. S6, this is a little cross that goes, maybe it goes there. And S7, let me put it somewhere there. And we also have S8 that will go Okay, there we go. So let's switch to a code view, and now let's create an array. So shapes, again, an array of all our elements. So S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, I know, boring stuff, S6, S7, S8. Okay, there we go. Now we're gonna remember the current position, so the current X and Y of this icon. So I'm going to create another array, so it will be maybe current point, because instead of X and Y, we're going to use point so that we can have X and Y in one value. Okay, so we have this current point as an empty array, and we're going to do a for in loop. So for I in, we're going to loop from 0 to 7, so all of our items. And we're going to set current point to from I. Okay, so each current point will be our each shape's position. So each shape's point. So what this line basically does is it takes all of the shapes and it puts their X and Y position as a position here to this current point array. And after we capture this X and Y coordinates, we need to reset the position of the items. So we need to put them inside the button again. And that's why I told you to remember those values. We're going to go shapes, and we're going to, for each shapes, we're going to go X. And I don't know if you remember, it was about 180, I guess. And shapes Y position was about 560, I guess, maybe 570, 575, I guess, maybe 570. Okay, so now we can set the state of our shapes. So let's do shapes from I and state, and we set the state, let's call it let's go. Okay, and we're gonna, if we captured the these points and then we reset the points, so we're gonna set the state so it can animate into this current point positions in the array. So we do point and then current point, and we iterate. Okay, and maybe we'll set something like rotation 360. I think that's it. So now let's activate the button. So get started button, and you're gonna do on maybe not on top, maybe on mouse over. Let's try on mouse over. So when someone hovers over this button, we're going to do for in loop again. So we're going to loop through all of our items, and we're going to go shapes, and we're going to go state cycle for all of the shapes. Okay, let's check that out. Ooh, it's so slow. Okay, so we need to set some animation options, right? So instead of state cycle, we can use animate, and we can say that we want to animate this state let's go. Then we can press comma, and in the next slide, I'm going to do animation options. So I'm going to do curve, and let's use spring again, and let's see how it works. Okay, it's too fast, so I need more springiness, and let's maybe set it to 210. Okay, now it's bouncy. Let's Command R, refresh. Okay, it's too bouncy. I need these objects to be heavier, so I increase this value. And now it's really nice. Okay, so we have this one thing. I need also to copy this, and I need to state cycle here on mouse out. Okay, mouse out and state cycle. We don't need these options anymore. Let's see if it works. Okay, it works. So one last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use some state for the button itself. And let's make some room for that. I'm going to use our get started button, and let's define states. Maybe let's define more than one, because we've always defined one. Let's define zoom in state, and I can't write, and zoom out. Okay, and in this zoom in state, I'm going to do scale, and let's scale it to maybe 105. And let's do some options with the animation, and I'm going to do curve, spring. Okay, now I'm going to copy that, and paste it here, and I'm going to do scale dot 95, and I'm also going to spring. And now while on mouse over, I'm going to do outside this for in loop, and for our get started button, I'm going to state cycle. And I'm going to show you one more thing. You can cycle in any direction. So if you have two states, you can say zoom out first, and then, for example, you can say zoom in. And I can copy this line, and I can go to mouse out, and let's see how it works. So it changes, so it's smaller now, and those icons springs, and it looks so cool. So yeah, that's it. So we created a prototype. I don't know if you noticed, but we can refresh it with this home page set to home instead of detail. Oh, I need to hide this top bar here. So top bar visible, just delete that. And yes, there we go. Okay, so let's get started. And there we have first screen. We can scroll through the list. We can enter the menu. We can also click on the list item, and we have this detail view. So we can click through the mockups we have, and we see an animation here. And also we can roll over the button, and we see this hover effect. So there it is. New Framer, and you know what? It's great, because in about 30 minutes with me talking all the time, we went from zero to ready-made prototype, and now you can design in Framer, you can create all of the assets and elements, and then you can switch to this code view where you can code this beautiful animation. So I hope you guys give it a try. Thumbs up for the Framer team, because they did an awesome job, and I hope I see you guys in the next movies.